I was on the way back from my location in Florida, where I broadcast for a day or so, and I came back to San Francisco, and we had to make a stop in Memphis. I had not planned on going to Memphis, Tennessee. I've never been to Memphis, Tennessee. But for reasons I'd rather not discuss, we had to make a landing in Memphis. And I had about 4 or 5 hours to spend in a city I had never been to. I thought fate had put me down in Memphis because there's no other reason for this. And as the plane was descending over Memphis, I saw some of the most beautiful country in the entire world. And I've seen a lot of the world. I thought it was some of the most verdant, beautiful land I'd ever witnessed in my life. And I said, wow, Tennessee is really beautiful. I know I'm on the radio in Tennessee and in that town, in the Cumulus station, right in the city of Memphis. And as I'm on so many other cities. And when we landed, I knew we had 4 or 5 hours till we were going to take off again. And so we rented a car, and a guy said, I said, could you take us around? He said, well, where do you want to go? I said, well, okay, I know that there's Elvis's thing here, Graceland. I mean, I was never a big fan of Elvis. I think he was a talented singer or whatever, but it's not my cup of tea to go there and see the hot dog people, you know. But nevertheless, I went to there. Then I said to him, listen to this. I mean, I didn't know much about Memphis. I said, look, I've been in the South a few times in my life, and I love the music. It's the middle of the afternoon, though. I didn't expect to hear blues music. He said, well, I got to take you to the riverfront, then I got to take you to Beale Street. I said, oh, Beale Street, isn't that like New Orleans? He says, yes, like New Orleans. So we hung out there, and I had some ribs. I took me to the best rib shop in town. He was from the area, black guy, nice guy. And I said, well, where's the best ribs for me? Anyway, so we had the ribs, I had the beer, I knocked down 2 buds. I destroyed my lipids probably for the year. Never felt so good in my life. It made up for the descent over Memphis. And I said, well, now look, before we leave Memphis, is there anything else I should see? He said, well, do you want to see the motel where Martin Luther King Jr. was shot? And like a bell went off in my head. I mean, I got chills up and down my spine because I had forgotten that Martin Luther King Jr. had been executed in this city of Memphis, Tennessee. And so he drove us there. And I got to tell you, a certain something came over us, as we stood in front of that motel. A certain something came over us because I got to tell you that America changed the day Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. Now, you can go to michaelsavage.com. I'm not trying to pump a website. And there's a picture of yours truly standing right in front of that motel where MLK Jr. was shot. They left the 2 cars there, the Cadillac and the Dodge, right underneath that balcony where he was executed. And it was quite chilling. I mean, they built a civil rights museum and all. And I started to reflect on what's happened to America since Martin Luther King Jr. was executed, and how, although he was a man who was not greedy in any way, and I would have to think he really cared about his people, I think about the horrible people who've cashed in on the civil rights movement since him. I think of people like Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, but most importantly, I think about the sad state of America today, where we have a man, Barack Obama, who is as cynical as they come, who would not be president had it not been for the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. And I'll explain why I say that in great detail. And I went back to one of my slogans from 10 years ago, how sadly in America we have gone from I have a dream to I have a scheme. Yes, how we have gone from I have a dream to I have a scheme. Because Martin Luther King Jr., despite his flaws, and boy, are we all flawed. No man is perfect. Boy, are we flawed. I've heard everything about him, but nevertheless, I also heard this man speak live. 1967, 68, UN Plaza. I was a young high school teacher in New York City. I happened to be outside for lunch with a sandwich, and I heard him speak. I mean, there's a huge crowd. I've never been moved like that ever since. That speech was the greatest. I never heard a voice like that. Let me put it to you that way. That man had the ability to move mountains. He was definitely chosen for great things on this planet. And I thought about that. I thought about what I witnessed that day that Martin Luther King Jr. spoke in this